Hello, and welcome to this Mayoral Community Forum. I am Mayor Cashenna from the city of Glenarden. Today, we are bringing you one of the most unique and probably one of the funnest mayoral forums I've yet had the opportunity to bring to you. We are very fortunate to be joined online with one of football's greats, Mr. Ken Harvey, and along with him is Mr. Walter Kirkland. I want to acknowledge one thing right now, that I've had the unique pleasure of being in the presence of Mr. Harvey, and the work that he has done for the community, even in the city of Glenarden, has been boundless. And we are so honored to have him as a community partner, and it is an honor to bring him for this mayoral forum. Thank you, Mr. Walter Kirkland, for the work that you do.
Yes.
Really quick, Mr. Harvey grew up in Austin, Texas, but he came here to the state of Maryland as a Redskinner. He attended UC Berkeley, where he was selected from the first round, 12th overall, for the 1988 NFL draft to the Arizona Cardinals. He then played 6 seasons until signing with the Washington Redskins in 1994. And he was selected on the 4th straight NFL Pro Bowl 1997, and ended his career with a total of 89 sacks, averaging 8.6 per season. While Mr. Harvey is retired, he retired just prior to the 1999 season. Let me just be honest, he hasn't stopped working and putting good on the ground. I am so honored also to have with us Mr. Walter Kirkland. Mr. Kirkland is Prince George's County's own, and he is a graduate of Mount Vernon High School, where he earned his full athletic scholarship. He is also the president, CEO, if you will, of the 100 Black Men of Prince George's. Mr. Kirkland comes through Rutgers University, which is in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and he graduated with a BS degree, All-American track and field athlete. He also has a favorite quote, and that quote is, "What you see is what you'll be." So Walter really wins big, and he believes in a win-win customer focus approach. He does have a consultative coaching style. So I am excited to see that we have a mentor online and a coach online, and we'll bring some of those theories to the forefront in this recording. So without further ado, welcome to this mayoral forum for the month of October. And we're talking sports and the importance that it has in developing well-rounded youth and young adults. We are changing the dynamic, and as you know, my motto, moving the mission forward. So without further ado, first question, let's get started. Mr. Harvey, talk to us about some of the wonderful things you've been doing since that 1999 season when you retired.
Well, one, thank you for having me on the show. It's an honor, and you hear that all the time, like, oh, it's an honor, but it really is. Because you believe in what you're doing and you're trying to make a difference, whereas a lot of people may talk about it, a lot of people may dream about it, but very few people get in the fire and actually do it. So appreciate you having me on your podcast, your show. What I've been doing since that time, did a little bit of a lot of things, right? But one was I found my passion in writing. So I've written about 8 children's books, 2 thriller suspense novel, a book about my life. I have a bunch of screenplays that I'm working on, trying to get those out. So that's been one passion. I'm working on creating a new sports game because, sometimes you got to dream big and believe big. And a lot of people run away from the big dreams or think it's too big, or people will talk them out of the big dreams. And so you keep pushing, and it may be the time, it may not be the time, but whatever it is, it can happen. You just got to keep pushing for it. Don't want to come across like I'm doing way too many things, but on top of that, I enjoy speaking to corporations and businesses and just speaking about leadership. A lot of the things that I've learned from football and sports, and just as you mentioned on the show, you can translate it into business and life. And a lot of people don't realize or do realize the value of sports and how that can be translated. It's about focus, it's about vision, it's about working hard, it's about how bad do you want it, and then all the obstacles that are trying to stop you from getting there, and enjoying the short-term goals, just like a first down, as opposed to a long-term goal, because those things happen as well. So all that said and done, I gave you a little bit of a lot, but yeah. I've done a few things, and it's been a long time since I played, but life keeps going on. Life keeps going on.
And honestly, I thank you so much for how you have brought already a positive aspect to the kickoff of this mayoral session. And that's one of the key topics that is on the forefront. When you talk about sports, positive youth development, that's what sports did. So when you were on the field, how did you see your role in being on that field?
So sometimes when you're playing, you're focused on the game that you're playing, and you don't necessarily see beyond that. But then you also get a chance to get glimpse beyond that. When someone comes up to you and they say, the autograph that you signed was the last person that their parents saw before they passed away, or for me, to see my dad go to the Pro Bowl with me and meet a player that he idolized and become like a little kid around that player. You realize the power of sports. And so now I also coach this congressional football game where we have a bunch of Congress members on both parties that play together against the Capitol Hill Police. And who would have thought that through sports, you can bring people together? But you realize that sports is a great way to take the attention off of self and put it towards a goal. And then all of a sudden you start realizing that you have a lot more in common than you think, or you end up experiencing or learning a lot more in common, and you start working towards it. And so, football, football, sports in general is a great way to, I guess it's a great piece of the puzzle that shouldn't be left out. And whereas people are trying to leave it out of the picture, it's a piece that needs to be kept in, because there's so much energy, so much people need something to do, and sports is a great way to burn off their energy, or to give somebody something to do, to focus outside of doing all the negative. And we're seeing all the negative in the world, but like I mentioned earlier, very few people are doing something about it. A lot of people are complaining, very few people are doing something about it.
And one of those such people doing something about it is Mr. Walter Kirkland. And I love what you stated here, that you really believe in a win-win customer focused approach. So you've come full circle, all American, into, corporate management, if you will, of players and building networks within networks. So how do you see yourself in delivering on a win-win customer-focused approach when we talk about our communities that are right now in a traumatic state, with our youth trying to fight between fantasy and reality?
Yeah, like that quote, what you see is what you be. And Mr. Harvey does this every day. Our youth are very impressionable, Mayor Cross. And this is why we have the copycat that, what happened at Morgan University with the shooting. I was talking to Mr. Harvey about this a couple of days ago. We were going to be speaking at Bowie State actually on Monday, right, Ken? And guess what happened? 3 students got shot. So we're living it's a call to action. The things like Mr. Harvey has with his books and some of the stuff he's doing, we need to continue to lead from the front. So I think it's not what you say, Mayor Cross, it's how you say it. So this is why when I speak to the youth, and Mr. Harvey and I'll be talking to Bowie State's Sports Administration Department in the next couple of weeks, it's creating your own elevator speech. When you first meet a young lady, or it's like I met your daughter, she did a great job, Mayor Cross. It's really galvanizing that discussion in the first 30 seconds. I've been blessed enough to sell $50 million in my professional career as it relates to technology and some of these big companies, Honeywell, GE. And now I've translated that same power of marketing into folks like Mr. Harvey and others and myself. So I think what we have to do in terms of trying to motivate and move the needle with our youth, we got to find a way to create what you see is what you be. And a lot of it is lead from the front. A lot of the youth They're very, very impressionable. Many have said to me, Mayor Cross, and I think I've talked to you about this before, Mr. Kirkland, I may not live past 21. I said, what do you mean, Junior? Well, mom is on drugs, dad's on lockdown, and I really don't see a path. So why does it matter? So this is why I'm going to carjack. This is why I'm going to steal. We got to change that paradigm. We got to find a way to get in the trenches to create this success pattern with the youth, because they don't see, especially in the Suitlands, especially in Capitol Heights. When I started the chapter with the 100 Black men, I could have went to Bowie, Ken. I could have went to Upper Marlboro, even out where you are in Leesburg. But I chose, believe it or not, Suitland in Landover, where right around the FedEx field, Ken, there's a lot of crime. When I was picking up youth, Mayor Cross, I would hear bullet fire. This was about 10 years ago. But being from New York City, I'm going to go in the bush, as my dad would say, Mayor Cross. Don't go around the bush. I mean, am I fearful? I guess, but someone has to step up. So what you're doing with your as a mayor there in Glenarden is phenomenal. And I know your people there really value what you do, but we got to step into the fire, like Mr. Harvey said, and make it happen. So that's why we do what we do. And that's why what you see is what you be. You got to lead from the front and be empowered.
That philosophy, stepping into the fire.
Yep.
As I look back over your resume, Mr. Harvey, it's quite impressive. Again, you've touched the heart, from charitable giving to Black History, Department of Threat Reduction Agency, working with them, even transitioning, if you will, from various conferences and teamwork that you've done. How does it feel in an environment today to see where you come from, right? And we came from environments, and I say we, I include myself, where there wasn't quite as much opportunities. And then to have an environment now where our children have 1,000 times more opportunities. They got the whole world at the palm of their hands. What does that feel like to you? Coming from where you come from to where you are today, how can we change this dynamic?
Well, so I always say, it's you can gain a vision yourself, or someone can give you a vision. Your environment can give you a vision. People can speak their words speak words into existence, into your life, but you have to have a vision, and it's going to be given to you one way or another. It's going to be given to you that you're not good enough, that you can't do something, that your environment could say that you're worthless. Everything you see on TV can say that you're not good enough. Or you can have a vision where you say, wow, there's potential, there's opportunity, there are things out there. And so for me, it's just trying to, I'm just trying to give people a vision of something that happened to me as a dropout in high school, who is now working with Congress members, who's been to the NFL, who's traveled, whose kids have had opportunity to go in different countries and are doing far better than I ever did, because they got a chance to see. I mean, the primary thing is they got a chance to see and to be around it, whatever that it is, whereas a lot of people don't get a chance to see. If you wake up every day and all you see is crime, poverty, destruction, and then you can blame the kid and say, well, you need to look further than that. How do you look further than that when all you see is day-to-day survival? Mm-hmm. And you don't learn to see anything beyond that. Now, there are escapes, there are ways you can do it without spend a bunch of money on a trip or whatever. You can read a book. And I've gotten into myself reading books that can take you in a world beyond where you're going to go. That's an important part of it. Sports, and a good coach or a good mentor can teach you a lot of values and things that you would have never known. And you'll have opportunities to meet people that you would have never met before. And you get to see that some of your problems although they may be different brackets, financial or whatever, or that person may look a different color than you. But then you start talking to them, you're like, dang, his mom's like that. My mom's like that. Or dang, you're struggling with that. I'm struggling with that. And you start seeing, and you get a chance to meet people. So I think it's just, I'm pleasantly surprised and honored that I've been able to do a lot of the things that I've done, and through sports has guided me there. To me, that's what we need to try to give everybody, and whichever gift that we have, because it may not, like I said, Your gift may not be, I may not have $1 million to give to you. Maybe I can only just speak to you of my experience. Maybe I can take you to a nice restaurant, once a month, just to give you experience or something to just show you that you can belong anywhere. Because the biggest thing that stops a lot of us is fear, or lack of knowledge. You don't know, you're scared. And so the only thing you do is react off of anger, your gut emotions. And there's a couple of gut emotions that people have that you're going to act off when you don't know how to explain something, when you don't know how to deal with something. You're going to act off those base emotions, which is fear, anger, run, fight or flight. You got to choose one or the other. Mm-hmm. So babbling on, long answer to a short question, but there you go.
No, it's absolutely perfect. And as you were talking, you mentioned some very key nuggets. Reading opens your mind and it gives you insight into the other struggles. We can watch the movies, we can watch a documentary,
right?
But there's nothing like reading someone's pain on paper. There is an author, Ryan Holiday, who's written several books that are, faith-based books, but one that's key is Ego is My Enemy.
Ego is my enemy.
I think that's the key thing that we need to acknowledge, is that there is nowhere that success can pick you up that your ego won't take you from.
And Mayor Cross, if I can just dovetail what you just said, and what Mr. Harvey does, which I really respect this brother, he's always humble. He has this decorum about him that he's so respectful no matter what you are, what you do, what your job is. He stays in the same zone. He is a God-fearing, blessed human being that even with all his Pro Bowls and his professional experience, he has this decorum about him that I think it's calming that he can exist in any environment.
Well, you're very kind.
He's
very kind. Thank you.
He's truth, and you're very humble. I've had him on our events, y'all, and I'm gonna tell you, he came to our back to school transitional youth extravaganza August the 5th, and everybody loved him. We served 530 children. Right. Back to school. And Mr. Harvey came and he was the highlight of the evening, because you don't get athletes, stars doing what you do. Being in the midst of the community, it takes a village. So I know you're a very humble man, but I'm
you guys are super kind. But here's the deal. Like when I talk about my dad at the Pro Bowl, it was because I went to a player and I said, "Hey man, my dad's a huge fan of yours. Would you mind just saying hello to him? But don't tell him that I said that I asked you to say hello to him." So he went to my dad and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Harvey, hey, just want to welcome you to the Pro Bowl and you're doing okay?" Yeah. My dad comes back to me, "Hey man, he said hello to me. How did he know my name? You said something." I was like, no. But I'm looking at my dad, who I idolize. So I'm like, this is my hero, and how he became such a little kid because someone took the time to do that little thing. So for me to take the time to come to an event or to say something or to do whatever, it's a small thing, but it's a huge thing. And for me, it could be a breeze in the moment, but for someone else, it could be the one thing that they hold on to for the rest of their lives. I just had a interview. I talked to a guy that I played with at the Pro Bowl, linebacker, Jesse Tuggle. And he's like, "Kim, man, all you got to do is, if you drop here in the middle, the ball's coming to you. The quarterback's throwing it all the time. I did it, catch the ball, look at it. He's like, run, fool, run." And I run and I score a touchdown in the Pro Bowl. But it's because someone gave me a vision, someone pointed me in a direction, and it made all the difference in the world. So when we talk about reading, I'm reading this book now. It's called Chase the Lion. I'm not trying to pump anybody's, okay, you got it. So I'm not trying to pump anybody's book, but I'm just like, you have to go into the pit,
into the fire.
Yes, sir. You gotta chase the lion. And there we go. There you go. We got the same book. Great minds think alike, right?
Yeah.
And
I probably knocked over half the stuff over there trying to find this book, by the way. You heard that cash boom. Yeah, I'm sure something's done broke.
But let me throw this out real quick. So a lot of times we throw out, you got to read a book. And what used to frustrate me is because people say that, but no, people don't tell you how to create a new habit, how to make a change, how to make a difference. So I read another book. I think it was Atomic Habits. And it said, if one way to change a habit or to create a new habit is to attach it to an old habit, something that you like to do. So if, say, you like to come home from school and for the first hour or two, you like to just sit around and watch TV. Then you come home, which is your habit. You got to come home from school, but now you say, I'm gonna plot out 10 minutes a day to read a book, 10 minutes a day. And you start doing it every day. And then after a while, you get a book and you start saying, well, dang, I finished a book. And then I finished another book. And all of a sudden you're reading a lot more books and you start wanting to read more. And so that's what I do, is like I read a chapter a day, put my lines in it, and do all that stuff. But I'll go to Starbucks, drink my coffee, read a chapter a day. And every day you at the end, you say, I finished that book. So I'm giving whoever's listening a way to create a new habit. Instead of saying, well, you just got to go read. The primary thing is reading can open up your eyes. Reading can give you an opportunity, an insight into something. It can give you my life in 100 and some pages. So you don't have to live 100, you don't have to live 50 or 60 years to go through what I went through. You can read it in a day or two, but now you have all that experience, right? And so I think that's why we harp on the point of reading a book, because the way your brain works, it takes a lot more energy and it's going to remember more when your eyes have to see the paper, when your mind has to translate it, when you have to pick out the words and you have to put them into places, instead of where TV is just given to you. It's just you sucking it in, and it's, you kind of go in a vegetated state. You don't have to do as much. It doesn't take as much brain power as picking out those words, reading out those words and doing all that. So that's kind of, I don't want to get on the box, preacher's box, but that's kind of it in a way that is an outlet. There are several outlets, but we talked about sports as well, music. Both my boys played in the band. I mean, there's so many other outlets that you can do, but I think what we're lacking here now is people seeing the value of those outlets, people investing in those outlets, people reaching out to people, and then us as a people seeing that we have our worth, that we're worth more than what we see. The reason I did my first children's book was because my two boys, one of them came home from school and he was talking about there's a contest on TV, and if you win, you get to be one of the characters. But he was upset or kind of down because he's like, but there are no brown characters, because he had never saw himself as one of those characters. This is 20-something years, this is almost 30 years ago. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, I didn't see that. For me, I'm looking at Disney, I'm looking at all the shows, and I'm like, that's Jesus, it's a great show. But you don't realize kids take in more than what you think they see. And for him, he's like, yeah, oh, this is great. I could be Superman, but wait a minute, Superman's not like me. Or, whoa, Spider-Man's not like me. Oh, whoa, and you never saw that. And so now it's like, okay, you're seeing it a lot more where they have the opportunity to see themselves as something.
I got to add, Mayacross, Mr. Harvey's also a writer. He has this, hey, Ken, are you able to play your song, or you don't want to play a song?
I wrote a song for the Commanders, a fight song for the Commanders. I like it. I could play it. I'm not
we got 5 minutes. Play it, man.
I could play it. I have to find it. If you want me to play it, I could play it. But
play it real quick, on your phone.
But anyhow, that's I have a bunch of, I don't know if it's a talent because I can't even clap on beat, but for me, it's opportunity to do something. So
go ahead and find it for us. And I just want to read something from Chase Ryan. If your dreams don't scare you, it's too small, by Mark Batterson. One of the chapters, no guts, no glory. And that's something that sports teaches you. It teaches you grit. Everything somebody says to you doesn't need to faze you. And when you're out there on that football field, I hear all the trash y'all talking. We don't get to see it, but we know somebody's talking trash because you're ready to kill them when that ball hikes. So I know that is something that you learn, you grow through. An insult isn't always something that requires murder. An insult isn't something that always requires that. And with that, I say your limitless potential. If someone's knocking you down, stand up. That's your greatest success in that event right there. Just stand up.
You got to practice it.
You got to practice that. You got to practice getting back up again. No one can take from you what God is already giving you.
And you fail, Mayor Cross, you fail forward. Does that make sense? You
fail
fail forward. To
At
Ken's
least
point.
you're farther along than you were before. So yeah, and then the other thing is we as a community have to come together, supporting and not judging. We are doing too much judging of our young folks. We wasn't perfect. We had our own problems. We just had a different generation when those problems happened. Now, with this limitless internet and technology, their problems are playing out on the internet.
Well,
their
so
problems are playing out before all the world.
here's the thing that bothers me, and I've probably been guilty of it myself. But you know, you look at somebody young and you say you should know better, or you know, but how can you know better if you've never been taught better? And that's the problem, is that we're not teaching, we're criticizing, we're pointing the finger, but no one's taking the time to teach. And that's where mentorship, that's where teachers, that's where relationships come from. The sad thing, the hard thing about video games and all this stuff is that you get the information that you're getting is from what people want to give you, instead of someone who has your best interest at heart, who has nothing to gain. And so, you know, little things like that can make a big difference. Here's the song if you want to hear it. I'll play it real quick.
Okay, let's do it, man.
Let's see.
Hey, citizens of Glenarden, you're gonna like this. Trust me. I hope you appreciate what the mayor's doing, y'all. She's bringing some good folks to your community.
Know that there are people out there that's still out there in the grind doing the work. I served 20 years with the Air Force, but I'm still serving.
All right, here we go. Go ahead, Ken.
Can you hear me? Can you hear it?
Can't hear it. Oh,
well, sorry.
You got your headset on? Okay.
I do.
Take the headset off. Yeah.
Can you hear it now?
No. Huh. Why can't you can't put it on speaker? Oh, okay.
Then I don't know. We'll do it some other time. Maybe it's not meant to be. But all that's said and done, it's for every young person or whoever's listening to this, right? And I'm not an expert. I've failed so many times, stumbled, I've done whatever, but I've had to remind me. And one of the things, I got my wife, who's my biggest supporter. Like, you see these big, strong football players and you say, oh man, this guy can lift 1,000 pounds. And I come home and I'm crying and whining like a little baby. And I'm all this and I'm limping around the house. And she's like, Ken, you can do this. And she's supporting me, because you need somebody that's going to support you, to have your back. What we're probably missing a lot of times is what you're talking about, Mayor, is that we have a lot of criticism, but we don't necessarily have a lot of support. Hey, you can do this. Oh, it's okay. I got you. Hey, you know what? It's okay. You failed. You made a mistake. That's okay. You failure. And I'm gonna beat your butt. Blah blah blah. It's okay. Hey, look, what can we learn from this? How can you get better from this? How can we grow from this? Right. Because failures, most of the successful people have failed several times, but what they've learned is, how can I solve this problem? How can I figure out a way to solve this problem? How can I take so many routes to solve the problem, as opposed to how can I run away from it? And that's if you break it down to the basic psychological profile, is either fight or flight. How can I fight it, or how can I run from it?
And you know how many no's I got, Mayor Cross, before I sold that stuff? I mean, you got to learn how to deal with no. No's a very powerful word. But I found the song, Ken Can't Hide From Us. Here we go. Listen to this.
Changing her name, strong from within. She can actually be watching and plead, fight with a warrior, living in charge, victory gang. Strong, we're the commander. To be cold, we're the commander. Strong, we're the commander.
Okay, let me take it off. But here's a quick story behind that.
How you like that, Mayor?
So here's the thing, though.
Mr. Kirkland.
A lot of times, you can have a dream. People are going to shut you down. It's not any good, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how to write music. I've never written a song, but I've written things here and there, but I've never gone to school for. So people are going to shoot you down. And so I write the song, and then someone's like, well, Ken, you need to sing it. You need to do your part and sing this part. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it. How you got to do it? Then you got to put things in motion. If you don't start, people will hear talk, but very few people will move on you when you start moving, right? And you got to move. So I started, put the song together, sung it, had it written, published it. Then I go and I take it to, commanders and all that stuff. And they're kind of like, it's great, but nothing ever happens. And you got to keep pushing. You got to keep pushing.
Yes.
You got to keep pushing.
Yes.
And it may not end up the way you want it to be. I want it to be blared out on every game and all that stuff. It may not end up the way you want it to be, but for you and yourself, you got to know, I took it, I pushed it, I did the best I could with it. And maybe there's some people around me, maybe there's something else, maybe I didn't do the right marketing, maybe I just need to try again. But you start learning those lessons instead of running and seeing it as a failure. Whereas in the past, I would have seen it as a failure. And my wife, like I said, has been a bigger supporter. Come on, Ken, you can do, it's a good song. I love this song. You got to push it. And so now I'm kind of like, you know what? Whether they buy it or not,
right,
it's a good song. And I'm proud of it. And just like everything else, now you got to start counting the wins. You don't think in football, guys celebrate when they get a first down? When they had a hard fought and they got that first down, they celebrate the small victories as well as the big touchdown and after the game. You got to celebrate the small victories as well as the big victories. And I think a lot of times we don't celebrate them, we don't identify them, we don't realize what they are, and you have to celebrate those victories as well.
I love it.
That's well said. Thank you, gentlemen, so much.
Thank you.
For helping me move the mission forward as we're talking about sports and the redefining dynamics that it has in our young folks and our young adults. And I will tell you that we are doing things differently now. We're recognizing, young folks, we hear you. We hear you. And we know that the number one thing that you just said, Mr. Harvey, is that we gotta support. We gotta back them. And young folks, the most beautiful statement that he said is sometimes you gotta encourage yourself. We have to find that self-worth in what we do because it is good. If you wanna be a baker, be a baker. If you wanna be an artist, be an artist. Be the best of that though, that you can be. I always tell my children, compete with yourself. Yeah. Because if you're better tomorrow than you were yesterday, I'm proud. And
life is a process, it's a process. It's a process.
In reading this book also, what you think may be a failure in your short term may be a long-term thing. So you may have failed in the sense of you wanted to be a baker and you weren't able to open up your bakery and all that stuff, but you learned how to cook. But now you cook these nice meals for your kids and they really enjoy it. So much so that the next generation says, you know what, I'm going to become a chef because I love the way my mom or dad cooked. And this inspired me to be the same thing. So it may be 2 or 3 generations down the road, but the seed was planted because of something you've done. And you may not realize it, but you are a seed planter in whatever you do. So that's kind of, as I look back in my life, I'm like, you know what, at the end, we planted good seeds with our boys. In the sense of they had an opportunity to do things that a lot of kids didn't get a chance to do. And so fortunately, they're doing okay now in life. But who knows what tomorrow's going to bring, but we know we planted some good seeds. And that's what we try to do. And so, Mayor, I will say it again. I will continually say it, commend you because it takes a lot. And people don't realize this is your time, which is valuable. It's time away from your family. It's time away from maybe a paycheck. It's time to take the time to say, I'm going to make a difference in people's lives. And a lot of people just assume that that's what you're supposed to do, as they assume all athletes are supposed to give back and all athletes are supposed to do stuff for charity. No one's forcing you to do it. You don't have to do it. You're doing it because you see a need. And instead of, like we talked about, running from it, you're running into the fire. You're running into the den and you're saying, I want to challenge this status quo and make it better. And that takes a lot. And a lot of people don't recognize or understand that those people who fight are the ones who are the strong warriors. And so I commend you for this podcast or the show and what you're doing.
Thank you. So
we got the heart symbol, huh?
Yeah,
there we go.
Thank you, Mayor Cross, and for the citizens of Glenarden. You're lucky to have her. Appreciate
She
the time.
didn't pay us either.
Right, exactly. Just to let you know, this is volunteer time.
Yeah.
Look, I didn't get no money from my council to pay you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
I
so
am
much.
so honored. I know you got to run, but 1,000 tongues cannot express just how much gratitude I have for both of you gentlemen. And thank you, Mr. Harvey, for your words of wisdom. You know, if we look at Thomas Edison, he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times trying to create the light bulb. I just successfully created it in step 1,000. So consider your life as a step 1,000 and just keep pushing. Mr. Kirkland, as always, you're a hero to Prince George's County and 100 Black men. And thank you all so much for being with us. I'll keep talking, but I know you guys got to go and do some more great, amazing things. And I look forward to seeing you on our next journey.
All right. You keep grinding. All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
So much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Take
Kim.
care.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
So also what we want to talk to today is, and I'm so honored that Mr. Harvey brought up the Chase the Lion, Mark Batterson book, because in it, it talks about choosing adventure. One of the things that I want to bring to our community is the sense of adventure. Since our children were tiny babies, we've always taken them to different sites and different places, even plays and theater. My daughter, I remember she was maybe 1.5 years, and I was deployed to Iraq, but my husband took her to see the Lion King stage play. And everybody was so beautiful. Oh my goodness, she's dressed so gorgeous. And you're taking your daughter on a date, and she was a 1.5-year-old baby. But let me just say how important that moment was, not only for him, but for the people around him that saw that investment, that we invest in our children because they are ours. They are gifts. And anything that you are given, we treasure. And there is a peer and a partnership opportunity. So when we look at adventure, it's more than just a narrative. It really is a storyline. And that's what Mr. Harvey and Mr. Kirkland have left us with today, is write your own story. Write your own story. You have limitless potential. We talk right now to our young folks, our young adults, 18 to 31. You have limitless potential. The world has opened so many doors that your story is going to be worth telling. Now, here's something that I will say. As a young person, and we all fall prey to this, we believe that we must do it now. Life is a process. Take your time and enjoy the ride. If you run too fast, you miss some of the key things that are those challenges, the obstacles that's gonna make a way for you in the future. When I was in the military, I really wanted to be an attorney. So many people have heard this story. I have my real estate paralegal degree, but I really wanted to be an attorney. And I actually found a love of serving this great nation in the Reserve Officers Training Corps at Mississippi State University. And at the time that I interviewed for the Judge Advocate General's Corps with the United States Air Force, I was told that I hadn't received my acceptance letter from my institution of selection, and at which case they denied me. Oh, that was a heartbreaker, because I could do the job. I was smart enough. I knew I had the caliber of leadership to be a great Judge Advocate General, but I didn't have the piece of paper. That opens up, and it's like, what did you learn from that? From that experience, I learned, have your ducks in a row, have your paperwork in order. Be careful with leaving little things out, because they could cost you bigger opportunities. Now, I didn't leave anything out. It was just a matter of the timing and when the Columbus Air Force Base could take my interview, because the next interview I would have had to gone down to Meridian or Jackson, Mississippi, and I was at school and I didn't want to have to drive. And, really, it was all excuses. And I really should have just waited because I knew that that was a piece of the package. And while I had a pseudo acceptance, I received a letter from the institution stating that my package was viewed in high regards. It didn't say, welcome to the family. You have been accepted. And here is your degree plan and your award letter. That was the piece missing. While I had all this other stuff, didn't have that. So I got turned down. Now, as fate would have it, what do you think happened? You got it. 3 weeks after that, after I had a crushing blow, came my acceptance letter to the University of Mississippi Law Program, 100% financed. 100%. Now, the sad part was I'd already signed up for the Reserve Officers Training Corps, had already gone to my 8-week camp, was getting ready to graduate that May, and I would have to deny my commission, go to law school, come back through the 8-week camp, and then try to become a lawyer in the Air Force. So what's the moral of that story? Don't sell your dream short. If that's the dream, if that's the vision, then there was no cost that would have been too large. And I could have easily denied commission. But here's the other thing I say. I didn't know that until after I had signed my orders to go to my first duty station. So I always held it in just immediate concern that my commander at the time didn't bother to share that information until after I had signed my letter for admittance to the Air Force. She said, you could have always denied commission, Cadet McCullough. And I said, well, when were you going to share that information with me? Know your course of achievement. Do your research, do your homework. That's the key piece here. Your research and your homework will keep you from having to have grievances later. Don't wait to be told. Go out and find out what it takes, and then put your plan in motion. Young folks, you have the most beautiful gift, and it's this little item right here, your cell phone. All of you know it. Anything you want to research, you can have a full answer in under 60 seconds, as long as it takes you to type it in. Get ready, get set, and go. Be ready. You are the generation that all of us are depending on. Many of us are reaching Social Security age, and we're depending on you to keep that going. You note that we have a government issue right now with our Congress. Many of our government employees are fighting against furlough, which is essentially not quite a layoff, but it's a no pay moment until we can get a budget passed. The essential thing is you have a beautiful opportunity to create your heaven right here on earth, but you have to go and you have to be counted. Do not let fear hold you back. Be an extreme optimist. Set up the weather and the environment that you want to coexist in. If the environment that you're in isn't helping you to bloom, then figure out what of this environment is helping me to learn. And from what have I learned, how am I going to define a different environment for myself tomorrow? Work, hard work has always been the answer. Courage to fail is a key thing, and laugh often. As I will tell you, in my near 50 years of life, laughter has been the greatest medicine because it covers all ills and it helps you with all pains. And no one can frown when they're laughing. Try it. You can't do it. You look kind of crazy doing it. No one can frown when you're laughing or when you smile. Takes more muscles to frown which essentially tears your face up and puts more wrinkles and things in your face as well. You'll learn this when you get into the beauty of things. But it takes less muscles to smile. And smiling presents a warm and welcoming opportunity for others to interface with you. Now we have this Zoom platform, and one of the key things that COVID-19 did for us was it gave us many decisive moments. When we look at this Zoom platform, this was a creation, an answer to a problem of how do we talk to each other if we can't visit each other? I would implore you to take an opportunity to look at your world. What's missing? You be the it that it needs. You decide what's missing. In a world where we can no longer visit, the nation, the countries was shut down. No movement left or right. Everybody was ordering from Amazon. What did we need? We needed supplies. Amazon became the greatest tycoon in the world. Be a service delivery, a provider. What does your environment need? As the mayor of the city of Glenarden, I will tell you that we need you. Young folks, we need your ingenuity spirit. We need your creativity. We need your attitude even, because with that comes the courage to try new things. We need it. So be what's missing. The ripple effect of you being what's missing is what you put in, you get triple back. So if you put in good, good will come back in larger forms. You will have an ability to have privilege touch you, thousands of lives changed by you. But the only thing you have to put in your spirit is the courage to act. Be courageous to break the mold. If your circumstances are negative, be courageous to break the mold. Yeah, they're gonna say things, we used to call it joning. I don't know, I might be dating myself. Yeah, they might joan you, but be courageous to break the mold, because your creative spirit, your energy is what's needed to redefine tomorrow. You will be the ones to discover the cure to cancer. You will be the ones to discover the new antibody for whatever's next on the forefront of pandemics. You will be the one to help move the needle forward in this thing called life. Show kindness and allow kindness to be shown to you. And a lot of people say, well, that's easy enough to do, but some people have a hard time accepting kindness. What do you want from me? What do I owe you for this? And I really am sad that that is an environment that we have crafted where you can't give without having to receive. Be the light that you would hope to see in the world. And through your story, you will be crafting a network of networks that's going to change the world. As you look at the growth patterns of your life, think about different strategies. I also look at little buckets of transformation. What do you need to believe in to stay creative? We talked about books. We talked about gaming. I'm going to tell you something my daughter is doing right now. She's a wonderful anime artist. And her passion is writing horror films. And whatever it is that takes you to a place of creativity, that's where we want to tap into that energy. You want to unlock this year coming, your new now. Be in the moment. Don't think about the future. It's going to come with its own set of struggles. But what can you do now? How can this city, how can the mayor help you be better today? make those demands known. We're listening. I honor your values, I honor your purpose, and I'm also sensing that we have a real shift happening now. We would like to keep ourselves focused on the collaborative spirit of community. That unity is going to take us into the next phase of discovery. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of all of you that have taken the time to be with us through this hour, to hear from Mr. Ken Harvey, who told you he didn't even graduate from high school. And yet now he's speaking to kings and queens, and he's changed his dynamic by changing his mind, staying connected to the best that he was going to be. I mentioned earlier that you have to believe in your creative resource. You have to create it. You have to believe that you are resourceful enough to be creative. And then let those be known. We have a Creative Youth Arts Summit and Conference that will happen February the 4th of 2024. I want you to consider coming. In there will be mentors from DJing, lighting, sound, audio, screenwriting, master chefs. We will have vision boarding, financial planning, literacy, empowerment training. These are opportunities for you to explore what interests you. And this is something that as a community is very thought-provoking, that we have to, and Mr. Ken Harvey said this too, open up your envelope of possibilities. Make options for you to choose from. If the only one option you have is a negative option, then as a city, we need to prevent that from being your only option. We need to put Boys and Girls Club out there. I'm so proud of all of our intramural sports, the track team, the Boys and Girls Club of Glenarden. I remember Coach Barry at the games this past weekend. I was able to attend October 6th and 7th, the homecoming pep rally and games. And let me say this, they have a rally cry, who got my back? And then the response would be, I got your back. Who got my back? I got your back. We have to do that. It's time. It's time that our response is, that's not my problem. No, I got your back. And I'm telling you, Mayor Cross has your back. And we'll push the envelope to help with this partnership and solutionary ways to open up opportunities for our community children. We are empowering you. You are our generation of change. You are the lions. When he said, chase the lion, you are the dream. That dream has got to be successful. Thank you so much for attending this mayoral forum. It has been quite impactful for me as well to be a part of the advice giving, but also the reference provisions to let you know that in your story, there's others who have lived that story and made it. We are opening up the doors and connecting mentors with our children. We are opening up the doors to speak to the creativeness that we will need. Just like Thomas Edison said, I didn't fail creating a light bulb 1,000 times. The light bulb was just an invention with 1,000 steps. I'm Mayor Cashenna A. Cross, and you keep moving the mission forward.